Hello? You guys doing all right? You guys, somebody just won a prize. You act like they just got a death sentence. Like you're the first person to get shot. All right. You all right? All right. Are you sure? Yeah. 28-14, game over. Go Hawks. It was not even that close, really. The score was not indicative of the blowout. All right, listen, I'm really pumped to introduce you to our next speaker. This is a guy that I've gotten to know over probably the last year. I've had the opportunity to introduce him at a few events, actually hang out with him and his amazing wife at a retreat day that we had after one of the events we had in another company. And I got to tell you, man, one of the really amazing things that I love about Misha is how he's brought together some truly remarkable, talented people. Would you agree that's pretty true? And it's not that, hey, listen, we're going to save, the best for last or anything like that. We're not trying to hold back from you. But honestly, man, this is one of my favorite dudes in the industry, one of the best guys that you're going to learn from. And I think really a dude that comes from the heart, been through the ringer himself, so he understands what it takes to build an authentic business, but a sustainable business. Does that make sense? Tyson Zahner started off his first 18 years in the home-based business industry. He struggled mightily until he found attraction marketing. When he started using attraction marketing, in about 12 months, he was able to recruit 1,000 people into his network marketing downline, creating $20,000 a month in income. Pretty awesome, yeah? Now realize this, he was doing that part-time. That was part-time money. Could you imagine making 20 grand a month part-time? He was running his photography studio, husband, wife, full-time gigs, right? So to be able to generate that kind of income, to be able to build that kind of a business using something like attraction marketing is pretty freaking cool. Later on, he went on to be the top earner in a company called Elite Marketing Pro. He did that for 3 years running. So he's in the top of a very competitive marketplace. And now he has his own training and coaching program. He teaches people how to build their brand. He's going to be talking to you today about the power of storytelling. Are you guys ready? Yeah. You ready to get up and get loud? Yeah. Hey, let's get rowdy for TZ, Mr. Tyson Zahner.
Great intro, brother.
You bet, buddy.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Everything working? Awesome. Man, that was a great intro. I need to record that and have him play that before everything I do. That was awesome. Thank you, JT. Yeah. So, my name's Tyson Zahner. How many of you guys here, I am just curious, not for my own ego, but just to know how many of you are familiar with my training? How many of you know who I am? You've either, oh, I got some fans over there. Okay, great. How many of you never heard of me before? This is the first time you're like, Tyson, isn't that like a chicken brand or something? Didn't he bite somebody's ear off? No, that was a different guy. Fighter Tyson. Okay, cool, thanks. Hands down. All right, cool. So, let me just tell you guys, first of all, today I'm going to be talking to you about the power of using stories in your marketing. You guys, this will be a review for you all. How many of you all would like it if I could show you how to get your prospects eager to buy from you without you having to be pushy, without you having to be overly hypey, without you having to feel like you're constantly selling them on why your thing is amazing? How many of you would like it, by show of hands, if your prospects came to you ready to buy? Would you like that? Okay. So what I'm going to share with you in this presentation, stories can be utilized in your sales presentations, of course. They can be used in your ads to generate leads. They can be used in your email marketing follow-up. So what I'm going to be teaching in this presentation can literally be used in every single part of your marketing, and I believe that it's one of the most powerful things that you can do. So you can see I'm going to tell you the simplest, most effective way to persuade, influence, and sell, all while making people love you and remember you. And of course, I'm going to show you how to do that through stories. I'll tell you why stories in a minute, but first let me start. I should start a presentation about stories with a story, shouldn't I? Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know the story of how Misha got me, convinced me to speak at this event, at this particular slot. I believe he and Dan were talking, and they were like, we want to put on the most amazing SAN event ever. Like, we want to get the best speakers possible. And so they were talking, and Dan was like, dude, I want to get the #1 best marketer we could possibly get. And he said, I've got a name in mind. He gave Misha this guy's name. Misha calls him up, and the guy's like, Misha, I wish I could do it, but I'm busy that weekend. So Misha's a little bummed. He goes back to Dan, says, Dan, I can't get the best marketer. Do you have any recommendations? He says, Well, if we can't get the best marketer, I know a marketer who is probably the brightest marketer. I mean, he is so well read. He's read everything. This guy is so freaking smart. Like IQ of, I don't even know, off the charts, this guy's so smart. He says, well, give me the name. So he gives Misha the name. He goes back. Misha calls this guy up, says, hey, I got this event. Can you speak on Sunday afternoon? Guy's like, oh, Misha, I wish I could. I'm busy that weekend. So Misha's dejected. He goes back to Dan. Dan says, hey, you know what? Don't be dejected. If we can't get the best, we can't get the brightest, I know a guy who has so much charisma. This guy, his smile, he will light up the room. Everybody will leave talking about how amazing this guy is. And so Misha's like, I'm all in. Let's hear it. So he gives Misha the name. Misha calls him up. This guy says, Misha, dude, I wish I could do it, but I'm busy that afternoon. I've already got plans. Misha's like, oh, God. So finally, anyway, Misha picks up the phone. He calls me. He's like, Tyson, you got to help me out, man. I need somebody to speak at this afternoon. So I put my phone down. I look at my wife. I said, honey, listen, I can't turn Misha down 4 times in a row. It'll break his heart. So all right. Of course I kid. Now, so I tell that story for 2 purposes. Of course, it was fun, right? But second of all, this is after lunch. I used to be a public school music teacher, and I remember after lunch, my students would walk in, they had drag about them, and so immediately when I would start telling a story, everybody's eyes would focus in. This happens to me. Anybody here, like when I go to church and I'm kind of dozing off in church and my pastor starts talking about a story, I'm immediately tuned in, right? Well, so that story, of course, was designed to get your attention, but also to show you why stories are so powerful for you to use in your marketing. They are entertaining. They are very engaging. They are very attention-grabbing. As you saw, I had everybody's attention in this room when I started to tell that story. You're wondering, where is this going to go? Stories, if you tell the right kind, can have a ton of emotional impact. And how many of you have heard that your prospects don't buy because of logic, they buy because of emotion? How many of you guys have heard that? If you haven't, you need to write that down because it is 100% true. Your prospects will not buy just because of logic. They will justify the decision with logic. They will say, oh, this seems like a smart decision, but only after you've built up emotional impact in their mind, enough desire for them to say, I really want to do this, right? And stories, and I'm going to give you some examples of how you can do that in today's presentation. Would you guys like me to give you some of my own stories that I've used in ads that you can kind of use as ideas for storytelling in your own marketing? Stories can move people to action, right? And I'll give you an example of that later on. They're memorable. There's going to be a lot of things that you will forget about the speakers, what they've taught you. You're going to go home, you'll have to look at your notes, but I guarantee you at least 2 or 3 of the stories I tell you will stick with you for months and even years. Do you guys remember some of the stories I told 2 years ago, right? So you guys are going to remember those stories. Your prospects will remember you if you utilize stories in your marketing. It allows you to teach without preaching. It establishes credibility. And one of the reasons why is because you can tell your own story. And when I say it establishes credibility, is there anybody in here who has ever felt like, why would people listen to me? What authority or what credibility do I have that somebody should pay attention to me? By show of hands, has anybody ever had that doubt? I did. Heck, I even still have it today. And I've been a 3-time top earner, and I still have those kinds of doubts. Well, most people think that credibility is only in, I've gotten great results, look at how great my results are. Well, I've got great news for you. There are 10 ways, at least that I've discovered, to establish credibility, and showing your results is only one of them. And in my opinion, it's the least effective because it often comes off like you're bragging. Would you like it if I gave you, I have a free bonus for you, because I don't have time in this presentation. If I gave you about a 30-minute video that you could watch on your own when you get home this week that shows those 10 ways to establish credibility? Okay, I'll give you a link for that here in a minute. Plus, you'll get all the links for these slides, so you can download all the slides. That way you don't feel like you have to take pictures, okay? And I'll let you download, in that little bonus package, there will also be 2 of my best performing story-based Facebook ads that have done well over $1 million in sales for my business. I will give you those so you can study how I use stories in my advertising. Cool? Okay. So, Stories will relax your listener. If somebody feels like you're going to sell them something, if somebody is in their news feed and they see something that looks obviously like a sales pitch, what do? They immediately want to scroll past it, right? But a story will relax your listener. It will put down their defenses so that they will be open to hearing about whatever it is you have to offer them. It engages both the heart and the mind. Remember I said you have to sell to both emotion and then justify it with logic. Stories can help you to do both, and I'll give you examples of that. Stories aren't pitchy. Another thing I like about stories is that Facebook loves them. Both the users love them and the platform loves stories. And one of the reasons why is because it can help you to get around compliance issues. And like a good example I like to use is I can't go on Facebook and say, do you struggle with back pain? Facebook, that's against their policies because nobody wants to scroll through Facebook and go, hold on, how does Facebook know I have back pain? Is it the Russians? Are the Russians telling them what's going on, right? Nobody wants that, and that's why you can't do that. But what I can do is I can tell a story of my own back pain, right? And my reader will associate his own pain with my story, and I build credibility simultaneously through affinity. Wow, this person's just like me. He understands exactly what I'm going through, and I can indicate that affinity through my story. And then finally, it positions you as a value creator, and it allows your buyers to open up and share their own stories. I can't tell you how many times I've had people reach out, even on my Facebook ads, and they'll say, oh my gosh, I told a story. You'll see it in one of the ads you download from me in a little bit, but I tell this story about how my upline, whenever I was in network marketing, scolded me for turning to the internet. And I started having people comment, oh my God, that exact same thing happened to me, and they started telling their own stories. Why is that valuable to me as a marketer? Because the more intelligence I have about my perfect prospects, the more I can talk to them in the way that I know they need to be sold to. Does that make sense?